I'm Janet Davis.
And I'm Glenn Davis.
And Emma is behind the camera.
How did you guys meet? Did you meet through dance? Probably didn't meet.
You go first.
How did we meet? We met at dancing school. The dancing school used to be on a place called Bishop Street. That was prior to Westbrook, which was prior to where we are now. And I remember coming in the building because a friend of mine, Ray Dumont, was doing a show. And they were rehearsing at the ballet studio, the Amelie's Ballet Studio. And that's how I got to know Maine State Ballet. And I came in and I had just taken 6 months worth of ballet because I had done theater and I started taking ballet. And I was a senior, just graduating senior from college. And I picked up this brochure that said summer ballet workshop. And I was like, oh no, I think I still want to keep doing this. So, and I wasn't very good, but I asked my mom about it, and she was great, and she was, she could have said like, you need to go get a job and be an adult or something, but she's like, yeah, I'll help you pay for that. So she helped me pay a little bit for it, and I think I asked the Mealies if I could work some of it off, and they had me paint some of their cabinets, and that's how I met the Mealy family. And I probably met Janet then. She was probably 14 or 15. And that was it, yeah. And then I saw her dancing in the studios, and she was just a high school dancer. And I was a college graduate. And that's it, and that was it. That's how we met originally, and I can't remember actually meeting, like hello, I'm Glenn. I don't remember that.
I don't think so. I remember you painting at my parents' house.
The cabinets, the kitchen cabinets.
There was some person, I remember that, and then I found out it was you years later. So it wasn't, it was just some person painting the cabinets.
And they always have.
Yeah, and they just always have people doing projects at their house. So, for those of you who don't know, Mr. and Mrs. Mealy are my parents. And then I just remember, as he said, I was a young teenager person, and me and my friends, it was at a summer workshop, and he was there. He was a beginner ballet student. And
22 years old.
22, and the glasses and the sweatband and the whole deal. And, I mean, it was we thought it was funny because we were just kids. And my friend Heather, she had to do like this partnering modern...
I remember that modern piece.
modern role or something. And she had to be next to him or something. And
I think I was all sweaty or something, and they were teenage girls, and I think they didn't like that.
We just thought it was funny, but I think then just through being in classes together and shows and
I went off to teach English in Japan the year after I started dance, and I kept dancing ballet there. Mm-hmm. And when I came back, I had gotten a little bit better, and so they put me up in like a much higher level, and even though I couldn't do it very well, and for a couple of years I just kind of struggled along, and then I kind of got a little bit better, and so I just persevered through it. And then I think doing shows together, like doing Nutcracker, like I would watch, and she would be like, the Dewdrop Fairy, or she'd be the Bluebird. And I started getting a few roles, and then we started interacting a little bit more. I think we just got to know each other through shows and through class eventually, dance class. So we dance class 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah. So. Tap class, I remember.
Tap.
Big bonding experience.
So what was it like dancing together before you were married and while you are married currently?
Dancing together before
we didn't dance very long before we were married. Most of it was after we were married. I can't remember.
Like dolls,
right? Yeah, we did the doll dance together.
Probably in 1994. We got married in 1996, so we probably had a year or two of dancing together in smaller things like Dolls and Nutcracker, Doll and Soldier Doll. I don't think we did a whole lot until we were after married. Yeah, we partnered in classes.
I remember recital dances, like tap dances, dancing together, like in a group, and what else?
It was mostly after we got married. So
well, because I wasn't a soloist. Or
I was
principal.
thrown into
court-
roles that
court
I
member.
shouldn't have been doing, but I was a male and I
Yeah.
could partner, I could start a partner. And so I was put into things and I sort of got better by being in roles that, Fred retired, Kaylin, there was a kid named Kaylin who was ahead of me, there was other people who were ahead of me, and then all of a sudden I was the last guy standing for some reason. So I get put into these roles, like in Nutcracker, I get put as the Nutcracker Prince, and then I get put in as Cavalier, and then I get put in as the Prince in Sleeping Beauty, and so all of a sudden I was doing all these roles, and so then Janet started doing, I think we did Nutcracker. I think
Yeah,
we
I
did
was
Sugar
still,
Plum first
I was
together.
still not a soloist or anything. So it was just kind of, when you look back, it's funny that he was promoted to a principal dancer and soloist before me because I was
Really?
I don't know if that's
yeah,
true or not.
it is true. You were
Okay.
promoted to principal dancer in
That's not
1990
fair.
in 1996.
Okay, well I don't
Yes, you
remember
were.
that, but all I remember is I was putting things and I wasn't
Yeah.
really ready for them.
We're-
But it was Maine and I was a guy and I was breathing. So and
Yeah,
so I
that's
was
pretty
I was
much
getting
the-
better. I was progressing, but the roles were helping me get better.
You were
So
good.
yeah.
You were good.
But it's funny because when we do partnering class, I used to partner with other people, and Janet would partner with Kaylin, who was a young man there who was very good. He went to school at American Ballet, but they looked really good together. Coloring was good, and then I would be with like Amy or Catherine Picklehaupt or
Yeah.
and then Jess was kind of tall for me. I started partnering with Jess, and I partnered with Elizabeth Drucker for a little while when she was back for a year or two. So she was more my height and more my coloring, but then eventually, basically Janet and I were the only ones left, and so we did a lot of partnering together. So and I partnered other people through the years too as well. But Janet and I, we did Sugar Plum for 17 years together. So.
Well, dancing together before we were married, those partnering classes, I went with you a lot because and we did big lifts. Fred taught us all these crazy lifts, and he was strong enough to lift me. We did the star lift. Remember learning that star lift, and then this crazy one that if you've seen the famous Dirty Dancing lift, it's like that, only you have to be a little bit more graceful up there. But and then another thing we did before we were married was Peter and the Wolf, which is not my favorite, but
We don't do that much anymore. Yeah. So most of the partnering was after we were married, and we had this sort of partnering specialist from New York City Ballet come in named Adam Luters for almost 10 years, almost every summer, and we had him like literally private lessons and partnering all that time. So we got pretty good watching him and learning from him. And then Linda helped out too, and Fred helped. Fred was a really good partner. Fred helped us. Fred Bernier helped us a lot. So so we kind of grew together after we were married. That's the long and the short of it. Is we partnered mostly after we were married, and we did a lot of stuff. And I think when Adam Luters came in the late '90s, what happened was Mrs. Mealy started remembering. Well, she remembered, but it kind of made her go, oh yeah, we should do this stuff, and it just jogged her memory in a bunch of things, and so she started choreographing on me and Janet when we were kind of in our quote unquote prime, and so when she was in her prime, and she did all these ballets for us, like Souvenir and Britain and all these different pas de deux and.
Well, sometimes when you are a teacher and you have your students, you're teaching them and you think you're pushing them to their absolute max because they can't really do what you're asking, and but then Mr. Luters came and he only knew how to go fast. He didn't know how to go slow. So I think she could see that a couple of us could make that jump to the next level, which was pretty, I think, fun for her because that, and she was like, oh yeah, let's go, let's do it.
And we did these crazy pas de deux,
Crazy
like in
pas de deux.
Coppelia.
Yeah.
She did this pas de deux for us, and she got this other music from somewhere,
Yeah.
and we did and Souvenir. What else? Britain. What are some of the ballets that we did? She did stuff on us.
Choreographed, I don't know, everything.
Bach Concerti.
Yeah.
So we did all these
Midsummer.
Yeah, midsummer, and so we did all these pas de deux, and then we teach them to other people now, and they're like, how do you do that? How do you do that? It's really hard, and how do you lift it one-handed? And so a lot of times we had to pull it down a little bit from that, but people are still good in our school, and they will be able to do that, and a lot of them can. But there's a lot of things she did on us that were just really difficult.
Yeah.
And maybe not as difficult as some of the crazy things they're doing today, even in some of the big companies. But I mean, for us, it was pretty hard stuff.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So that answers that question, I think.
But I don't know if people want to know, like, what is it like dancing together as a married couple?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's probably maybe some of it. I don't know, it's just kind of what we've done our whole marriage, so we joke about having because once we moved to Falmouth, the Falmouth studio, we have our own theater there, and we started doing shows, like so many shows.
To pay for the theater, to pay for the building, basically.
To pay for the building, and just so many.
So we went from doing like a Nutcracker and a spring performance.
And a summer recital, yeah.
And a recital.
Yeah.
Then we added summer, and we added a fall, and we added tap tap jazz, and we added more shows and June shows.
Yeah.
So we started going from maybe 15, 17 performances a year to like 40 or 50 performances a year.
Yeah.
And Janet and I did a lot of like we would do like 15 shows of Sleeping Beauty, and when you see these big ballet companies. There's like 3 different partners that will do Sleeping Beauty, and each person gets 2 Swan Lakes or something. We did like 12 Swan Lakes, and all these other things we did.
No, but it's good.
So,
but we would joke. I remember this one time, we were backstage. It was Magic Toy Shop, the ballet, and we're in. You're kind of you're dolled up, literally dolled up as dolls, and he has this little mustache and a purple suit. And, sometimes we're backstage, we're like, what are we doing? But then we were just like, welcome to date night. And then we go on stage or something. So that's what we did for our date nights, is perform for people, which was what I like to do. So
for rehearsals, Janet wanted to rehearse over. And I liked to, when I played baseball and I did dance, I liked to practice a lot. But she was like way wanting to rehearse things over and over and over again until it was like perfect, which is really good. And I'm glad we did that. But sometimes I'd be like, I just want to go home and have a hamburger, Can we leave now? Like everyone's gone. We've been here half an hour. So Janet would like to really rehearse very, over and over again. And I think she performed like because she just loved performing, and she loved giving to people. And I was more like I wanted the accolades and the applause and the laughter from the audience. As a little bit more I do it for the pleasure of it too. I love it, but she is a dancer who loves doing it, and people would say, I just love watching you dance, Janet, because you just look so happy, and that's exactly what she was like when she performed, and she just loved it so much, and I think I just tried not to drop the girl. I was just along for the ride a little bit, because a lot of times she'd just know the choreography and I'd know it pretty well, but she'd know it all, and so. All of a sudden, it's time to lift, and so.
We have a question from the audience.
Yes.
Did you choreograph your first dance at your wedding?
No. We just went like this, back and forth.
We slapped together a CD of music, and we threw it together the night before.
Did we even have CDs? We didn't have CDs,
We had the tape or a CD or something of music, and we had a friend just sort of say, we said to the friend that day, hey, can you just click play and run the music.
Was that Max?
Yeah.
Max.
So we didn't choreograph anything, but we probably could have. We could have done some fun thing like that. We just didn't do it.
We had an open house reception, so it was just because we have lots of friends
We
at
stood
church,
for hours and hours and hours.
and I was the first one, so I'm the Mealy's daughter, and in our church, I grew up in Wyndham, the first generation, and I was the first granddaughter, born granddaughter, and so.
First your friends.
There's a ton of people who came to the wedding.
I was 6 days prior to my 20th birthday. I got married, so I still had all my high school friends were still.
We
around.
probably do it a little differently now. People do make up these cool dances for this wedding, and obviously we could have done that, and we just didn't.
No, but we chose to have our reception just kind of like an open house, like
Yeah.
just people just came and came and came, and so it was kind of fun.
Okay.
But yeah, we just.
How often have personal issues interfered with your work relationship? Never, probably, right?
We shared an office for years. Like we drive to work together. We're one of those couples that, I mean, that's hard. That's hard for anyone. That's hard to like a lot of couples, like either one person will stay home or they'll both go off to work. And then you come home and you have your time together. We would get up, we would drive to dancing school together. We would share an office sometimes. For a few years we did. We would go to class together. We would be in meetings together. So you have to learn. I mean, it just takes time to learn how to do that. I mean, and then sometimes I like to come home a lot of times and just like leave dancing school at dancing school. And when Janet comes home, she gets on the social media and she's doing all this awesome stuff. And I'm just I feel kind of guilty, like why I'm not working 24 hours a day. But then I'm like, hey man, you know what? I don't need to feel guilty for this. So I think it's just learning. And she does it because she loves it, and that's her life. And I like to kind of reboot each day and start over. So we just have a little bit of a different with that thing, but it's not bad. It's just it's just you learn how to do that together. And then sometimes you're in a rehearsal and the baby's crying. Emma would be.
That's me.
We just had to figure stuff out, but we were able to do it. And I think we just love each other, and we love dance so much that that was just what it was. That was.
Well, it's not even like we work together and come home. It's like we work together, and then you go to class together, and then you rehearse together. You said that, but I mean it's different.
Then her mother
than
was
just
choreographing us,
right?
So it's
so you add the mother dynamic, which is like
Hard.
a whole.
Well, you just get to know each other really well, and you learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we're very forgiving of each other when someone's having a bad day or something. So. And
you learn how to like do your work, and then once you get to class, you learn that. I mean, for me, it was easier. You have sometimes a harder time, but for me, once you get in class, it's like. So let's just say like we're in a meeting, and my mom and whoever's in the meeting, and then it's like. Things happen, and then it's 3:30 and you got to go to ballet class. Like I think it was easier for me to turn off whatever just happened, get to the studio, and then it's like another day.
You have to learn how to shift gears.
Shift gears
a
is
lot.
The thing, yeah.
And some people can't do it, and we've had hard times with it. But I think we also we wear a lot of hats, yeah. But I think that it's been, for the most part, very positive.
Yeah.
But there's just stuff you have to learn, communication.
And I from what I can remember is I walked out of rehearsal once and you walked out of rehearsal once, and that's like of all the years, there's the only times I remember.
Yeah.
And
so.
That's pretty good, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And other time, I mean.
99% positive.
Yeah. I think the dance part.
It would be hard for some people to do that.
The dance part is easy to dance with each other and rehearse, and you go back and forth.
I think it's just the meetings and the having to listen to each other. I mean, everyone, and having to work with groups.
Yeah.
And be on a team.
Yeah.
And our team has been. I mean, Jan and I have been. I mean, basically, our team's been together since basically 1991. I mean, that's when Gail and Fred came in 1990, I think. I came in 91 as a sort of an outsider. I wasn't working. I was learning to dance. Janet was a student in 1991. But we've all been in the same building together for 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's like a family. You have your good times, you have your bad times, you have your bad months sometimes.
Yes.
But overall, we've all stuck it out together, and we recognize where each other's strengths and our weaknesses, and we're forgiving, and we love each other, and we want the Maine State Ballet to be a great place to make memories and to grow up and to have uplifting experiences and make beautiful art. That's what it comes down to.
Getting lots of hearts. So.
Yeah, and you make, on another level is, Maine State Ballet is our life, but we also do have each other and our family. So when things there we might not be agreeing with things there, we have to get rid of that and then come home and realize that our family is the most important thing.
And a lot of times
our family is the most important thing, and sometimes,
And we bring stuff home a lot of times, and we
Yeah.
talk about it here, and we probably should just stop talking about it sometimes and just go back to dancing school the next day. But it's hard to when that's your life.
Yeah.
It's just that's what it is. It's like anyone who has a small business, especially if you're in business with your spouse.
Yeah.
That's.
So I'd say working together is harder than dancing together, and dance is part
And we don't
of
dance
our
together
work.
anymore.
You were just a wardrobe and a clock.
Oh, that's true. We do.
You
Yeah.
do.
We're
We
still
almost
recording.
dance together. Yeah.
We-
In Beauty and the Beast.
Speaking of family,
Yes.
be careful how you answer this question. What is it like teaching your daughter?
I'm just kidding. I love it. I'll start from when she was little. So
Did not love it.
Emma was a little firecracker human being, and when she started she was in a pretty high level around the time she was 10, 11 years old. 9, 10, 11, I don't know, 3. But I think I started teaching you when you were like
10.
10?
Yeah, you had me at 10.
Okay, and like Lily and Molly and
Yeah,
all
they were
those
like
guys
12.
They were like 12, okay. So, for some reason, she didn't respond to my style of teaching.
When she was 10.
When she was 10. But, I mean, and I love you all that, I love you, her class. But they were kind of like
We were the
spazzy,
worst.
a little bit spazzy, so it was
Nobody
a little bit,
liked teaching us.
But, so it was really hard for me to teach her when she was younger until probably 14 or so. I mean, when you were really like, okay, this is something pretty awesome, and I think you know what you're talking about, so maybe I'll listen to
Yeah.
you. Is that accurate?
Probably.
I don't know, but I love having her for a student now because she's so smart and works so hard. Reminds me of myself a little bit in the determination area.
Well, you also
aspect.
started teaching me when we started homeschool. So it was like that year. And so I had you for a school teacher and a ballet teacher and a mom.
Yes, that was fun.
But this is not my interview.
But he was really good at teaching her when she was younger. Like I was like, I don't know how I'm like, you're gonna have to teach their class always because she does not respond. So I finally just ignored her when I was teaching. But I just was.
That was good.
You were really good.
And with our whole class.
Yeah. You were very good.
We had him for like 6 years.
Yeah, and you're all really good dancers because you taught them and were patient.
I think with Emma, she's really hard on herself, and because she wants to be good, and she's very smart. She loves ballet. So what I want for Emma is for her to find that balance between the happiness and joy in class and also the striving. So when I'm working with Emma, I'm always trying to balance between, correcting her sometimes she knows more than I do, but correcting her in class, but also sometimes just letting her dance because she's hard enough on herself.
Right.
So that's where I am right now with Emma when I teach the company class, is I almost don't do much with her as much right now because I think she's hard enough on herself.
Well, and she knows a lot too. She knows what she's.
And she knows what she's working
Yeah.
on, so she almost doesn't,
Yeah.
But when she was younger, I think I was a decent dance teacher with her class.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
like probably.
And it's been fun seeing her. It's fun seeing her as we've sort of. I'm still dancing a little bit, but I'm not really as much. But it's fun seeing her really want to do that because a lot of people, you look at family businesses, quote unquote, or you look at things where family members do, and not everyone becomes what their parents
Right.
like to do. And Emma just loves it. And Emma's actually third generation ballet dancer, which is probably fairly unusual
Yeah.
at a really high level.
Yeah.
You know, her grandmother's in New York City Ballet. We were big fish in a little pond here. We were pretty good here.
Pretty good.
Janet probably could have danced almost anywhere if they'd let her in the building because her feet didn't look as good, but she could do everything. So
Could do a lot of
she
things.
could have
Yeah.
danced at a lot of places if they would give her a chance, but I don't think they would give her a chance because she didn't look like the typical.
I might have.
And I
might
probably
made
could have
it to
danced
Miami
other
if
places.
I
I could have danced other places,
If
and
you knew.
I think I
Yeah,
could have
if I knew.
danced more kind of a Broadway kind of a thing, more if I continued to do my ballet dancing, but that was more my strength. But
Funny, it was more my strength too.
but back to Emma. I think I'm just saying. And then Emma's come along, and she's very theatrical. She loves ballet. She does all these classes with all these great teachers through the world during this pandemic time that we're home, this quarantining time. But I just think she's learning to balance that love of it and the happiness in the moment with also pushing herself. So that takes. I remember that. I know what that's like. I used to punch the wall when I couldn't do a double pirouette or something.
I
And so
punched many more.
I know what that feels like. So we see it. It's hard because we see ourselves in Emma, but we also have to go. You know what? Emma has to take her time to mature and grow up and learn these things as well. So it just takes time for everyone to do that. So we can't change people immediately, and we don't necessarily have to change her. But it's just that's what she's learning right now. So
yeah.
A little bit. Okay. What was your favorite year of dance? And maybe let's say your favorite role to dance, like without each other and then like with.
My favorite year of dance. Well, I love them
2006?
all. Was 2006. Yep. 2006 was my
that was kind of our peak.
my peak of physical ability without injuries. Like I felt like I could do anything. That was awesome. Like I had my body and my brain matched up. Finally, we did Swan Lake that year, Souvenir that year,
How old were you
Sugar Plum.
in 2006?
So I was 29 and turned 30 in November.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So 29 was about where I was. I felt like I could do. I mean, I felt really good. 2003 was pretty good, but
Was 2006 Swan Lake?
Yeah.
So you hurt yourself during that?
No.
Oh, the second
During
time.
Magic of Christmas.
Magic of Christmas is when I hurt
She hurt
myself.
herself.
Yeah.
That's when I hurt myself.
Yeah, Magic of Christmas.
Go
You
see
ever-
it.
Go see it.
Here's the link below.
But I loved. Mrs. Mealy choreographed the ballet Souvenir, which was just dance, pure ballet dancing, and that was so fun. I had like 14 minutes or I don't know, some ridiculously amount of time on stage just dancing, which is sweating and just loving it. And we got to do it at Merrill, which was so amazing. But yeah, I love that. I think I wanted to mention I think it's fine. It's my life. I can be personal, I guess, if I want. But after I had Emma, I had some severe postpartum depression and found out later that it was bipolar 2. And so my dancing from about 2002, 2003, all the way till around 2006, that was like an outlet for me to get out whatever was in here. I mean, I had some therapy. I finally got help. And I think that's another reason why 2006 was pretty good, because that was finally getting to be where I was mentally okay. But I loved dancing during those years as well, because it just really helped me through everything. And but then there's these years, and I just I feel so silly sometimes because even when we're doing these online Instagram live classes in the living room or in the kitchen, like I just do like a, I don't know, double pirouette and fall over it, and I'm loving it. Like I love to dance, and so right now these years are awesome because even if I get to move a little bit, I love it. So yeah, that's my favorite year. All of them except for 2006 was my peak.
I won't add much more to that, but I think that I peaked around. What happened was I was 2006, 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
We look back at those videos and we're like, wow, we look pretty good. 2008, I suffered an injury on a kind of a faulty stage that was built on the front of Merrill Auditorium stage, and I had a full Achilles tendon rupture right in the middle of performance on the first jump. And so ever since then, I never got 100% back in my right leg for strength or flexibility or anything. And I have some ongoing things that are just, I have to stretch it and work it every day or it just gets tight. So I actually do that every day. But I think those years, about 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, were probably our best years. And then, not that we were bad, we came back from the injuries and we had a lot of great things. I danced for 10 more years. I danced up until this year, really.
A Firebird Prince.
I was Firebird at 50 years old last fall.
Yeah.
So I think being able to partner for me has been, and I think since I started so late, maybe I just don't have the injuries that I could have gotten as a younger person. So I don't know that I was allowed to. I mean, I played sports up until I was 20, and then from 20 to 50, I've been dancing. So I've been athletic for 40 years.
I mean, we were lucky. We probably had about 10 years, solid 10 years without major incident with our bodies.
And then then
we had another. What is 2000? Was 2020? Yeah. I mean.
So 2008, I had the Achilles tendon. And then 2009, I had heart surgery.
Yeah.
And right after heart surgery, it's a funny story. We were doing Magic Toy Shop for the second time.
Like right after.
And Mr. Mealy, I think, was the toy maker.
No, Fred did.
Fred was the toy maker, sorry. Fred was the toy maker, and then Fred had an injury. He broke his foot or something. And this is like a week after I was in the hospital when we found this out. And then, no, before that. And then John Mealy was going to do it, and he was learning it. And something happened to him, and I was literally in the hospital after I had a stent put in. It wasn't open heart. I had a stent put in. I had, I had a blockage.
Minor blockage.
The only one I've ever had. So, and I'm in the hospital, and they're like, "Well, I think can you ask the doctor if you can?"
Can you ask the doctor?
Be the toy maker because I was normally going to be one of the dancers in the show, and then. So they're like, okay. So I asked them, and it's like, just don't do any lifting because they go in through through here, and they have these plugs, and so you want plugs to come out while you're doing. So he's like, yeah, you guys can do it. So I was on this medication it was called a beta blocker, and so it makes you not care about stuff very much. And I think it's for people who have stage fright as well. But it was for me to make so there wasn't a spike in my heart rate or anything. So I'm on this beta blocker. And I have these notes in my hands about like who to go to first. Like I literally learned the role in like a week. And I have to go to
Toy Shop. Yeah.
Well, Toy Shop. The toy maker has to go get this doll and then go get this doll, and I didn't know which doll to go to first, and so I had these little notes in my hand, and I was backstage, and I wasn't nervous at all, and I'm on this beta blocker, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna go out, and I just
everyone like. I knew, nobody else really noticed as much, but I knew he had no idea what he was going to do when he got on stage. He literally note cards. It was so funny, so funny.
But it was really fun. I actually really enjoyed that role. I would love to do that role again. But, so that's what happened. Our peak years were probably part of that. And then after that, we had a slow, steady decline. No, I think we had a lot of great years after that.
I'm going to be retired before.
I know. Well, Emma says that, but I think she thought we'd be retired by the time she got to company class.
Yeah, probably.
And sometimes she's like, Can you just retire so I can just have my own space in the company class? Well, I'm still in company class a couple days a week, and yeah, what were you gonna say?
We're still in company class in the kitchen.
What were you gonna say?
I don't know.
Okay.
What did you say
Next
before
question.
that? No, it was something funny. Oh, the thing about it is though, when you say we're slowly declining, we still. I mean, not to be like, oh, I'm awesome or anything, but like, we've still improved in our artistry. Like
Yeah.
I look
But
at
the body gets.
I
it's
look
part
at
the
some of
body.
my performances where I was just like triple pirouettes on stage, you know, foot days and all this stuff. And there's things that I'm like, man, I would never do that now. Like that's such a spaz, or you know. And then you look at the older years, and we just like are smooth.
We refined
and,
a lot of things.
Yeah, so it's pretty fun that way. Favorite role we didn't get to yet.
What's the
Well,
next
it kind of ties in with the last question,
Oh, yeah.
which is the favorite on-stage memory together.
We'll go with the best role first. Your best role that you enjoyed.
With you.
By yourself.
By myself, I mean, I always go to Dewdrop.
In Nutcracker.
That's my short answer. In Nutcracker, Dewdrop Fairy. I mean, that's what I go to. I mean, that's fun to do by myself. And
I
then-
think I liked several things. I love some of the stuff Mrs. Mealy did.
Yeah, Souvenirs up there.
Souvenir is a great ballet. We haven't done it for a while. We need to do that again. But it's just this beautiful ballet. It's
danced
a
together on that.
four movement ballet. And it's not a character name. But I think my favorite character role probably is Basilio in Don Quixote, because that music's so great and the story's so great, and there's acting, there's drama, there's comedy.
Yeah, keep dreaming.
But I did
That's
also
up
Nutcracker.
there.
I did Nutcracker Prince for 17 years, and I did Cavalier for 20 years. I mean, those are great. I love those
Yeah.
roles as well. So, but you know, I think since I did Basilio like 4 times, only 4 times, but I did it 4 times. That was really fun.
Yeah.
You do it every 5 years. It's fun to do. But Cavalier, you do over and over and over and over again. You know, you do it for 20 years, and
Yeah.
it almost becomes, in some ways, by the end, I almost felt like it was more of a responsibility
Yeah.
to perform, and I love performing, and I didn't not like performing, but I had early on and through most of my career, I just had so much fun. But by the end, you almost feel like it is a little bit of a job and a little bit of a responsibility, not to take away from the fun or the joy that we had doing it. But by the last couple of years, your body's starting to get a little more in pain, and
Well, and you missed me.
yes,
Because I didn't
Janet had
dance.
retired too, and I had some great partners after her. But so roles
Well,
together. What do we do?
Memory.
Memory or
Memory.
Favorite role? I don't know. What's the favorite? I mean, Kitri, Don Q
yeah.
was pretty good to dance together with, one of my favorites, but also Capelia. Capelia was really special to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
but
because Emma was.
Yeah.
She was pregnant.
I was pregnant.
She was
and
pregnant during 2001
Yeah, we did
when we
that.
did it in spring. She was
Yeah.
pregnant.
Yeah, and then the next time we did it, it was just really special too. I love that ballet.
That's a
love
fun
that
story
ballet.
ballet too. Yeah.
And I'm good at that one. Like that's my type of dances and but favorite onstage memory together? I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what you say. Wonder if we have any of the same.
I'm just trying to think of my memory of it.
I think one thing that was really
Swan Lake probably
I was gonna say
almost that's like the ultimate probably.
that was
the feeling that
yeah.
you have doing Swan Lake at Merrill Auditorium when we did it
Mhm.
before we had to cut the backdrop in half and put it in our little tiny theater. When it was a huge backdrop and we get to a Merrill Auditorium, a couple of shows, that for the first time that's what first of all
twice at Merrill.
okay.
Yeah.
When you do Swan Lake, when a company gets to do Swan Lake, Linda always says that's like a maturing of the company. Like if your company can do Swan Lake at any level, you've come a long ways. And for us to be able to dance that together, that sort of phenomenal roles, it's just such a great story. The music, it's so much history.
I think that was the first
Very
time.
few people in the world get to do
Yeah.
that, and we
Yeah.
were very lucky to blessed to do that.
I think that was the first time I ever felt like, I mean, we were always into it and good actors and stuff and really having a lot of fun together. But I think that was the first time that I felt like you were just like in it. Like you were just at the end of the ballet, like he like had tears in his eyes. Like it's a lot of emotion at the end, and then like, you know, the girl's there and she's dying and then it's really hard. Like he just comes and picks you up, and he was just like crying, and it was just really like, oh, this is intense and awesome, and just realizing that you were loving it.
And that's the thing about ballet is that
so cool.
it's something that it lives in the moment.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people say this, like ballet is it's like a flame or something, and then you're watching that flame, and then the flame goes out, and then the show's over, and that was that live moment that you had that we're missing in this pandemic. We can't do any live.
Right.
I mean, we're all watching Netflix, we're all watching movies, and it's really fun, but that feeling you have when you're doing something live where stuff can go wrong, and you're just seeing it it's like going to a basketball game or anything, a sports event or something, where you're seeing live things happen where people can make mistakes, and there's you don't know what's going to happen. That's what's really amazing about live art.
And it's different every time for me anyway. Like you go on to perform, and different ballets are obviously different, but like we did
Every
Sugar
night,
Plum,
yeah.
we did Sugar Plum forever, and Cavalier forever, and it just was a different type of
Every night
feeling.
was different.
Every night for years and years.
It's like you're waking up. It's like you're waking up, and you're all of a sudden alive in that moment, because you have to. You're concentrating, focused so much in that moment, and then. Yeah.
And the orchestra, that might have to be one
Every
of
time
our,
we'd walk in for
favorite.
Nutcracker, Cavalier, Pas de Deux at the end of the ballet, every night you walk out, it's completely silent, and you hear some little baby got led into the audience, and we just chuckled at it. We weren't mad at it, but it was every night we'd walk out in silence and take our pose, and you hear a baby crying.
Or right before. Dun, dun,
And it wasn't me.
Dun. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
She was,
So we don't know who that baby was. If it was just
Oh,
someone
it's
with a
planned.
recording
They
or
planned
something.
It was the thing from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
The what's it called? Mandrake.
That might have to be like overall our favorite.
Yeah, probably.
memories
Nutcracker
together.
is so probably, because we did so many times, and it's just such a great feeling with Nutcracker.
It's so familiar and comfortable.
But some of those, like really, just like Swan Lakes and Sleeping Beauty. We
Yeah.
did the step in Sleeping Beauty over and over again. We never did it wrong. It was a one-handed inside turn, and I would go like this, and then she'd spin around twice, and I would take her with one hand and put her down into like what's called a fish.
Yeah.
And we did that. I don't know how many times we did that ballet. We probably did it 40 times, the performances or something together, 30.
I don't know. We
30
did
performances.
12. We did 12 or 13
But
in 1 year.
we did all these, and
All the
just that
rehearsals.
step is just like if anything goes wrong, she's flat on her face.
On.
And that was really fun. That was kind of a fun moment.
Injured
I think I
times.
held on a couple of times with two hands, but you'd usually just do one hand. and
No,
go
yeah.
down.
I think in that
So-
shows we did one-handed.
But- Anyways.
Dave says that he cues the baby crying.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks,
Dave
Dave.
does, yeah.
It's his cue. Part
Cute
of his
baby.
cue. He's like Play-Doh. Get the baby.
Plato's up there with a little.
It's
bucket.
always fun dancing. Like Dave Herman is our tech director for Nutcracker, and he's an advisor for us and everything.
Love.
And it's fun, the family that he has built, the Backstage family through the years. And so it's interesting. We were watching a ballet the other night, New York City Ballet dancing, and they usually show it from the front, but then they showed a side angle, and you could see people in the wings. And that's what it's like when you're on the stage. You're trying to be focused, but you're still aware that Dave is standing right there with his headphones, or Gail's right there, and you can see people watching, and the
Yeah.
cast as well. And that's just really fun. It's fun seeing cast members because I remember this. I remember walking to the building on Bishop Street and watching Fred Bernier and Sarah Whale dancing, and going, "Wow, I want to do that." And so to remember that the influence you had with people watching you from the wings and going, I want to do that, or I love doing this, or I love the ballet, I love art. That's a great memory too for me, is to remember those and people like Dave and others who get to watch you. I remember carrying Clara off 100 times or something, and this guy named Dan who works with us on stage left. He had these steel toe boots on, and I had ballet slippers. And one night I stepped on his foot. And he said his toe's never been the same. It's been like 15 years. The toenail is all discolored, and so I stepped on his steel toe boot with my ballet slippers, and somehow I hurt his toe.
Must have just jammed
So
yourself.
just memories like that are kind of cool.
Yeah. No, I didn't really realize the I probably still don't, but I didn't really realize the amount of people that we have influenced or performed for until my last Sugar Plum, and it was like all these people, and I just was like, they're here to see me. Like I'm like, holy cow, so awesome, and like I don't know, just really fun to when you're towards the end, even though I'm
nostalgic.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to see if you can get to a point where you can realize that you have some sort of positive influence on people. I think that's the biggest compliment or biggest gift you can give. Like that's what I aim for still.
One other thing, we had this couple for years. They lived in New York City, and they were very old when they lived in Maine, but they grew up in New York City, and they used to go to the ballet, and they just loved the art. It was Jan and Alexine.
Mm-hmm.
And they both had, I don't think they were European. They just had these European names. They didn't have any accent or anything, but they would come in like they were their walkers. And the last maybe it was like for 5 years or 5 or 6 years, and they came to every ballet, and they just loved it. And they kind of compared us to like the New York City Ballet in the 40s, kind of.
Well, they said 60s. That's when
60s,
they saw.
We weren't perfect,
moment.
and but we had a passion and we had a love for it, and they just loved being in Maine and being able to come see the ballet, and
so that kind of fed us a little bit.
Yeah.
Fed me anyway.
They
when
basically
they came.
talked to us after every show.
Yeah.
Have any last pearls of wisdom?
Pearls of wisdom.
Or
Well,
what you want people to remember you?
I want people to remember that the most important thing is our family, and each other, and Emma, and our dancing school family, like our MSB family, like that is, I've really come to realize how close we are, like, and just this week with the little recital Spirit Week thing, I mean, just the comments and going back, when we canceled recital, I didn't think that I cared that much because it's a lot of work and but then we're going through all these pictures and I'm just like, I saw this picture of Sally and Agnes and Hannah, and I was just like, it was such a sweet picture, and they're holding hands, and I just like, tears just started coming down my eyes. I'm like, oh man, I miss everybody, and then like all the little kids, but I think the most important thing for people to know about us is that we care about our Maine State Ballet family.
And it takes, like, we're the people who happen to be on the center stage,
Right.
but we talked about Dave and his backstage people, and then the costume people, and the music, Carla, and the choreography, and the direction, and all the volunteers. It takes this great team to put all that on stage, and so that's the first thing. And then the second thing I want to leave is that we were one of the few people in Maine to have careers and get paid to dance. Very few people have that opportunity in Maine.
In addition to running the school.
Yeah, and we had jobs, day jobs. Our night jobs were performing.
Yeah.
But we want to pass along what we've learned. That's the second chapter. In the next chapter of our lives is continue to pass on what we've been learning and what we're continuing to learn from other people to our dancers here in Maine.
Right. Thanks
Great.
for.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight at our home.
Stay safe. Stay
Getting
healthy.
lots of hearts and thumbs up from Jonathan Mealy.
Love you guys.
Take care. Thanks.
End now.